Would you please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. May I have roll call of the members, please?
Commissioner Sparza?
Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez? Here. Commissioner Moody?
Here.
Vice Chair Weisenberger?
Here.
Chair Timmons?
Present. For minutes of March 4th, 2026, may I have approval of the minutes, please?
Sparza will make approval.
It's been moved in second. May I have roll call, please?
Commissioner Sparza?
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Yes.
Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Vice Chair Weisenberger?
Yes.
Chair Timmons?
Yes. Okay. Public comments, Mr.
We do have some public comments that were emailed in, and those are related to the Clearwater specific plan project, so item number 2. So we could bring them up at that point.
Okay. Ready for item number 2.
Here we are.
Here we are. Okay, do we have staff report?
Yes, we do. So this is one of the biggest projects that that we've had in Paramount. So it is a big deal. This is a multi-acre project, 71 acres, which is a good size. The Clearwater specific plan project, and it's located, well, as you know, but just a little recap, includes the swap meet area, Paramount swap meet and surrounding properties, bounded by Rosecrans Avenue to the north. On the east side is Paramount Boulevard, running north and south. On the south side of the area is Somerset Boulevard. And on the west side is the railroad right-of-way, Union Pacific, the ports. And within there, we'll get on to the next slide here. So just to let you know, so the city has had the assistance of a specialist in this field, a land use specialist called MIG. You've had some presentations from MIG in the past. So I'll start off the presentation, and then Jose Rodriguez from MIG will give the bulk of the presentation. And here's a little bit of the what we'll be talking about, give some background, get us all caught up, talk about the specific plan framework. So again, this is the vision for the future, the long-term future for this specific plan area, including the development plan and how it will be built out over the years, over decades probably. And we have some development standards proposed. We have mobility concepts, so how to get around within there. And then your actual review and approval, we have a resolution for the draft the final environmental impact report and some related documents. And as you know, as always, it's a recommendation to the city council. And then we have 2 other resolutions. One is a general plan amendment, and the second is a code amendment, a zoning ordinance text amendment to incorporate the plan directly into our municipal code. And again, into the background, so this area's been around, the swap meet's been around since the 50s, I believe, 1950s. We actually have on the wall here, the monitor there, the rhodium was one of the earlier uses of the swap meet. And but as far as this plan, on the books now is the Clearwater East specific plan, and it's been on the books since 1987. We've kind of updated it through the years, just kind of minor updates. Most recently in 2019, that was a medium-sized update because that is when we officially included housing. So right now, one of the property owners can build housing up to 22 homes per acre. So that's been on the books for 6 years. Obviously, well, there's a Catholic church that has some housing on there, so the clergy of the nuns live there. But there's no housing tract, there's no apartment building per se, but it is on the books. So one of the big things to think about is why we're doing this change. It's 1987 is a long time ago, so a lot has changed. and also because of the state. So that's kind of the push is the state of California, in particular the California Department of Housing and Community Development. They have mandated, and the city went along with it with the housing element, our housing plan that we do every 8 years, to increase that 22 homes per acre to 30 homes per acre. And it kind of ties into another item later on this evening about regarding housing density, zoning ordinance text amendment number 41. So we'll get into that later this evening after this project. So we want to comply with the state, of course, but by doing that, we want to do it right. We want to do it locally, make it a local plan that meets what the community wants, and that's why it's taken a few years to get to where we are today. This is a big deal. Also, we want to acknowledge state laws that, the state, you'll hear a lot about the state in this project and this evening, as we often talk about the state of California. AB 2011, that was a bill that streamlined housing on commercial sites, so that's to be applicable here. AB 2097, that's the name of the bill that eliminates parking minimums near transit for a lot of categories. And SB 79. SB 79, we've kind of spoken about SB 79 over the last few months. That was signed by the governor late last year, and that's the bill that requires cities effective July 1st of this year to have fairly high density within a quarter mile of a station area, and within half miles, another ring where there's higher density. And even though trains are not going to be running for maybe 10 years, maybe more, because these stations are officially planned and on official maps, they do apply. As of now, they do apply in Paramount. There may be some cleanup legislation that we've heard about that could change that or delay implementation maybe a year, but SB 79 is on the books. And you can see here, this is a snapshot of how the plan was developed. Phase 1, 2, 3, we're at phase 4, all at the end of the line. So phase 1 was forming the vision and analysis. So figuring out what the Paramount community, what the residents want, what the business community wants, kind of piecing that all together. And we did a lot of events. We'll show some photos in a following slide, but we had pop-up events, so that means literally just pop up a table at a Friday night market, at a farmer's market, and ask for input. Stakeholder interviews, so we interviewed council members, landowners, nonprofits, and individuals, some one-on-one, some as a group. Eco-friendly fair, and we had meetings. We had a workshop, standalone workshop, and on to developing the plan as we got more information and had an idea where folks wanted to go, put out a draft plan, and that's where we, last year, when we had a joint meeting with the city council, and that led to a series of meetings with the city council, digging deep into topics of housing density and height. Those are the main topics, amongst others. And now, and then the environmental impact report. So CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act. So it's such a big change. This took the kind of the highest level of review, which is an EIR, and a lot of time went into that. And we also from MIG, we have Cameron Heil from MIG if you have questions on the EIR side. And on to public hearings. So with your recommendation, this would move on to the city council. So we did our best to get in touch with the community, and as you can imagine, it's not always easy. You know, someone knocks on your door, you get something in the mail, you might throw the paper away, or you might not want to answer your door. So we tried different ways to get the word out or to find out what people's thoughts are. So I mentioned the pop-up events, interviews, property owner meetings. What you see here is one of our meetings with a group called Musa. That's a fairly influential group. They do public service, like for the Santa train. When we distribute every year, there's the candy cane and the apple. They're the ones that are actually putting the candy cane and the apple in the bags and doing that hard work. So they're always doing little projects just to help out the community out of the kindness of their heart. So we you see a picture here of Associate Planner Ivan Reyes, asking for input. And so all in all, we got some input from them and other folks, and you can see some of the themes that came about. People want more housing. There's a certain level. We don't want, by and large, people don't want skyscrapers. You might want kind of mid-range types of buildings, but the reason is families want to stay here. Children become adults. They want to stay in Paramount, and those homes they're just not available. So this could be an opportunity to provide that housing, and ideally, there's a way to make it somewhat affordable. I mean, it's just expensive everywhere. There's a wish to keep the swap meet in some form, but to see them improved, maybe to more permanent types of buildings, or we've seen like container kind of vending ideas. And well, as you know, as an aside, the city has been very supportive of the swap meet and the vendors. Metro wanted to build a maintenance yard on this property, and that would have completely destroyed the swap meet. So that was very important for the city to lobby against the maintenance yard in this area, and it was successful. So that's going to be in Bellflower. But kind of looking ahead, how is that going to change or move or improve? Residents want more entertainment options and improving walking. So yes, we all drive, most of us drive, but the thought was once you're there, make it easier to get around internally. So you park once and you can have your date night and maybe do a little shopping, maybe you live upstairs. And here's the photos of the community engagement. So just a sample of what we meant. And I think at this point, I'll turn it over to Jose. He can go up to the podium here and get into more of the technical side. Would you like to?
Good evening.
Little button.
Press the button there, and there we go. Now you can hear me. Well, good evening, and I'm happy to be here. As John mentioned, my name is Jose Rodriguez, and I'm a senior project manager with MIG, and we assisted the city in preparing the specific plan. So what I want to do is just kind of provide an overview of the specific plan, more details of what's in the document. This slide here shows an overview of the existing conditions. Now, you're all probably familiar with the swap meet that's there, but there's also a business park, lots of parking, and a few commercial, maybe a small commercial center, the church, and an adult school as part of the Paramount School District. So that's the entire site. As John mentioned, there's a framework for the specific plan and what we've identified as the vision, learning from the community, talking with the different stakeholders. But what we learned from, and building upon what John said in the community engagement, is family-oriented, social, gathering spaces, kind of the heart of Paramount. It's in the center part of the city, places where residents can be proud of, creating, not necessarily just on Fridays, but a date night places where residents can go and shop, eat, and gather. So have those shopping and dining experiences. And those can happen in those public spaces within the specific plan. As John also mentioned, providing housing, a diverse set of housing at different densities. And as with that station that's being planned there, the state's pushing for higher density around those stations. So we're looking at to increase those densities around the station. And as well as employment, not just housing, but there's different types of uses that I'll go over in a moment that shows different types of what we call flex neo-industrial uses that I'll talk about in a moment. Real quickly, this is kind of the vision of what we have identified. We have a set of six different principles that are within that we've identified through each of the for the vision of the specific plan. And then this graphic here kind of shows the existing conditions and then a conceptual rendering based off the development standards. Keep in mind, that's not exactly what's going to be developed. What the specific plan does is provide the framework on what can be developed. And so this is our designer's rendition of the development. But when the applicants and property owners decide to develop, that's the type of development that can happen. And so that's, again, looking at public spaces and different types of residential densities, from townhouses to apartments and condominiums. So let's talk about the development plan itself. This is the development plan here. There are 6 different land use, we'll call them land use districts, and the densities vary by those districts for residential. And then the blue at the bottom is kind of more the neo-industrial area that John's pointing out, and that's primarily employment uses. There's no housing there, and as you know, further across the street in some areas, there's other industrial areas as well. And then the business park is anticipated to stay likely there for a longer period. So that's, falls in lines with that designation. But John, if you go back to the top, the red area, that is the more intense district that allows the higher density. The orange area allows the densities drop a little bit. But along Paramount, this is what was highly recommended by the city council, is to at least provide some drop step backs, decrease in heights and densities, because some of the densities here are a lot higher, so you can go up to 5-6 stories. But it was the preference from the city council at least to step that down on Paramount, so that the higher densities and higher buildings are more in the middle of the specific plan. The blue area allows a lot of flexibility for the property owner and the applicant. There it allows a mixture of still some residential uses at a lower density. It allows the swap meet sites still to remain and maybe can be readjusted within that framework, but also allows other types of commercial services and flexible employment types as well. And then we are still keeping some of the quasi-public uses, such as the adult school and the church. Those uses will remain as well. This is just kind of the envelope of the development over the plan, and this is not necessarily going to happen overnight, as John as was identified in the slide here. It will probably take over time, but what the specific plan allows for and what the environmental impact report, the entire environmental impact report, looked at is a maximum of 2,000 units, about 150,000 square feet of retail, commercial, services, and restaurants. So keep in mind, if you've been to a Walmart's about 100,000. So this was a little bit bigger of a Walmart, but not in the size of a Walmart. It's going to be broken up into, it will be below in mixed use, below some of the uses in different components. But I'm trying to give you an idea of the amount of building square footages. And then the neo-industrial, kind of the flex spaces, more artisan, creative type businesses. That's 800,000 square feet. And that does take into account some of the existing business park square feet. So all in all, this is what the specific plan allows, as well as what the environmental impact report analyzed as the full capacity. May we get there? Possibly. As we mentioned, may not happen overnight, and we may never get to that full capacity. Depends on the density. It's the specific plan is flexible. If the applicant decides to use lower density, we may not get to the 2,000, but they cannot go over the 2,000 units. In terms of development standards, these are the development standards for the different zones. We're looking at both dwelling units per acre, as well as height, stories, and then what's called floor area ratio, which is for building intensity, particularly for mixed use and non-residential uses. But you can see the mixed use town center goes from 30 to to 90 dwelling units per acre. Excuse me, I don't have my best glasses on here. I destroyed my really good glasses, so everything's a little bit blurry, so bear with me. But I'm going through memory of creating these slides. The reason why we use 30 at the minimum is because part of the housing element and state law is that to allow for additional affordable housing requirements as part of the housing element, the minimum density for affordable housing has to be at 30 dwelling units per acre. But since that area is closer to the station, we allow that flexibility to go up to a higher density and a higher floor area ratio. We want to take advantage of being proximity to the planned station. The town residential, you can see the density starts to drop, as well as the heights and the floor area ratio. But you do see that there is that height restriction that I mentioned on Paramount. So there's a drop in both the density and heights along Paramount. And then you can see the flex and neo-industrial. The flex allows, again, a lower density, primarily for townhouse type development, and a lower FAR. Still allows for office and industrial. So a 2.50 FAR means that you can build 2.5 times on a building property based on the height and the coverage of the property. And then neo-industrial does not allow any residential and allows for a height of 40 feet and a 1.5 FAR. There are various standards for parking. We recognize there are some other statutes, as John mentioned, state legislation that does affect parking, particularly proximity to a half-mile proximity to a planned or existing train station. State law does require applicants not to. Let me rephrase that. They do not allow. You don't have to provide a minimum parking standard. However, we are still keeping standards here, but we are recognizing state law, so it becomes flexibility and up to the developer on the amount of parking. We still know that even though there's a train station there, there's still going to be a need for parking, but maybe not at high levels of parking because the hope is that there will be opportunities for walking and getting to the transit station. But we still think that developers are going to provide parking. We're still including a standard of parking, so 2 spaces for every unit. But as I mentioned, that's the minimum parking requirement. Since the proximity to the station per state law, they don't necessarily have to meet that requirement. And that's the AB 2097. There is some open space requirements that allow for various types of open space. As you recall, the city has done a Parks Master Plan and adopted one a little over a year ago, and there's definitely a need for additional park space. Even though there's a park across the street, if we're increasing these types of densities and having residents within this area, the Parks Master Plan already recognizes there's a deficit in parks acreages, and so we're looking to provide various types of parking. That's typical for this type of development. Private open space can be done through balconies or yards or even the rooftops of buildings. Common open space, those are within apartment or condominium projects. You have community rooms, barbecue areas, swimming pools that are common for different residents. But also storm drainage and public plazas that we think are really important for the development. There's a sustainability component, and we've over the development of the plan, there was a higher requirement for green building requirements, but the applicant really, or I should say the applicant, but a couple of the property owners pushed back on that. So we are still requiring some sustainability components, but a lot of it is encouragement and as opposed to requiring it. But there's still state laws, particularly the Cal Green Building Code, that still requires a certain amount of green building components. And so that's going to be one of the thresholds to meet, as well as some other requirements that we put in the specific plan. Mobility was a key component of the plan. As John mentioned, there is a desire for more walkability. The specific plan is located next to a planned train station, so we anticipate walkability to be a key component of the specific plan. Now this here is a concept. So what we've done is, since this is the city putting together this specific plan, based off the development standards and what we anticipate to be developed, this is a concept of a mobility plan. Obviously, when the applicant does prepare their own plans to develop, they need to still follow the standards in the specific plan, but the layout might be a little bit different. So these are the streets that are required. And again, we're trying to push parking not up to the streets, but having parking structures or parking in the middle, but more pedestrian-friendly streets, and different types of mobility options, from biking and wider sidewalks for easy walkability. So let me go back. There's Street 1 and Street Type 2. These are the more major streets that are through the development. You can see the different colors there representing the different street types. So there's Street Type 1 and 2. And then as we move down the slides, the streets are getting narrower or less wide. That's not the best way to say it, but there's less lanes, and some of the sidewalks do get a little bit wider and less lanes. And so these are more in the interior where there's less, or where there's more residential development. But the key thing for walkability is improving that space between the street and the buildings. And so there's different amenity zones, and what we call what the sidewalk zone is, to allow different types of amenities to create that atmosphere for those that are walking, so that there's spaces for outdoor restaurants and areas to park your bikes, and furniture on the street, to make it, again, really comfortable for the pedestrian. So that gives a kind of what are the key components that are within this specific plan. And as John mentioned, Cameron Heil with MIG that prepared the environmental impact report is here to answer any questions. But I'm going to go over a high level of what was identified in the EIR. So we developed a full EIR for the specific plan, and there's a series of impacts that were identified that we could not mitigate. But there's a series of mitigation measures nonetheless. So some of those impacts do remain significant and unavoidable, but that's very common in these types of specific plans. Usually it's related to air quality and greenhouse gases. And let's see, there it is, air quality, greenhouse gases, and noise. And those couldn't be reduced to less than significant. And so there's a statement of overriding considerations that were prepared as part of the EIR. Still, there's mitigation to help address those nonetheless. When you have some of those impacts that can't be mitigated, there's key benefits that outweigh that for the project. And looking at complete streets and improving mobility that we talked about, economic growth, expanded housing and open space, and then transit development, or transit-oriented communities or development near transit. And that is a big priority for the state of California and a lot of communities right now with there's different laws, one that John talked about, SB 79, to create transit-oriented development around these transit stations so that we can reduce vehicle usage around those stations. In addition to that, there's improvements. This area hasn't been developed in quite some time, so there's upgrades to infrastructure, as well as we talked about some sustainability requirements. These were the mitigations specifically for the air quality, greenhouse gases, and noise. And the last part is the request here, with staff's recommendation. There's a Clearwater specific plan with both resolutions. There's also a general plan amendment and zoning amendment. We're looking at the planning commission. The request is staff's is to recommend city council to certify the EIR, adopt the mitigation monitoring report and statements of overriding considerations, recommend the city council amend the general plan, and then recommend the city council to approve the zoning text as well. That all takes into account the specific plan. And so the recommended action from the staff is that the planning commission adopt the resolutions PC 26007, PC 26008, and PC 26009. So with that, that concludes our presentation. John, myself, and Cameron are here to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Nobody else to speak. When you're ready for the public hearing, we could go over the comments.
Okay. All right, so let's open the public hearing for the Clearwater specific plan project.
Okay.
And
Which one? Pacific Plan?
yes. Okay, we'll open the public hearing for, we'll read by title, waive further reading, and adopt planning. Oh, we're not ready to adopt yet. We just want to open the public hearing. Okay.
Okay, so we did receive, as I mentioned, some comments, and I'll just kind of give a quick summary. So one is from it's from Michael R. Lozu from Lozu Drury LLP. And this is on behalf of an organization called Supporters Alliance for Environmental Responsibility, which stands for SAFER. And that they have a few concerns, and just so a quick little summary is they had concerns about there's no consideration of bike lanes on some specific streets. The second is they wish there was more Spanish language translation. And the third is they thought that the EIR failed to analyze and mitigate the project's indoor air quality and health risk impact. And so that's the first. And they followed up with an email today with just kind of summarize it in email form. A second is a follow-up from a comment we received last month. You'll recall that we brought you the project, and it was open and continued. You did not hear a presentation, and you did not consider the project. But there was a comment at that time. The person who submitted the comment resubmitted. So on March 30th, this is from Peter Meladeo and Dana Meladeo, and they are property owners. It says owner 7815 Somerset Boulevard, and they have some concerns about the project, the plan itself. We received a letter by email from Caltrans, California Department of Transportation, and that's from Anthony Higgins, the acting LDR branch chief, regarding the EIR and how it was some concerns about the evaluation. Finally, today we received 2 emails, each with a separate letter from Kendra L. Carney-Mayer from Carney-Mayer Law Firm on behalf of their client, Modern Development Company, MDC. And as you probably know, Modern Development Company is the largest landholder in the specific plan area. They own the swap meet and the Bianchi Entertainment Center. And they have some, one letter is about more about the plan, and the second letter lists some concerns about the EIR. And that's it. If you have any questions, I can help answer, or and Cameron's here as well from MIG.
Commissioners, do we have questions?
That law firm, where is that address you sent? Where is that at?
Well, this last one was from Newport Beach. Newport Beach.
So I have a question. John, the first one you you read was from a guy in Oakland. Apparently, he lives and works in Oakland. And
Yes.
what stake does he have in this again?
Well, that's better if Cameron addresses it. Thank you, Cameron.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name's Cameron Howell. I'm Project Manager, Environmental Analyst with MIG. I wrote the EIR for this project. Luzojuri is essentially a law firm or collection of lawyers who comment on as many projects as they can throughout the state. On behalf of this organization, SAFER, which they also happen to be part of. They're essentially ambulance chasers. But if I could address their comments, the first comment had to do with bike lanes on the major roadways around the specific plan area. Those roadways are covered by the city's active transportation plan and climate action plan. So there's long-range planning already going on for those streets for bikeways and pedestrian safety. As far as the Spanish language translation, we tried our best to work with translators during the public coordination process. When it comes to the EIRs, it's a very complex document. It's 1,000 pages or more, and a lot can be lost in translation. So the technology is not quite there yet. We are moving in that direction, as well as with accessible documents for people who can't see. The last comment that had to do with indoor air quality specifically has to do with formaldehyde, and that has to do with wood construction products. And formaldehyde in wood construction products is regulated on the state and federal level already. So we receive comments from Luzojuri on many projects, usually industrial projects. They're usually trying to get concessions from applicants or property owners or unions. So when it comes to these specific comments, they have not identified any significant environmental impacts that were not addressed.
I do have one question regarding the ER. During the presentation, you mentioned some concerns with noise.
Yeah.
Is that around the Union Pacific area?
So the noise concern is not, it doesn't identify specific locations. It's an overall general, it's operational noise from the potential increase in traffic in the area. So it's sort of like a cumulative long-term impact in the area where just the addition of traffic will make it trigger the threshold for noise, essentially for traffic noise, because the outdoor noise limit is 55 decibels, and if you go stand by the freeway, that's 75, 80. So
Yeah, I live near the 105. So
Yeah.
when it's very quiet in the morning, I can hear every car going.
yeah, for sure. So the noise impact, it's just an unavoidable long-term operational impact. It's not guaranteed to happen. That's if all this development gets made and you get all this new traffic, then it would likely trigger the impact threshold.
Thank you.
Especially with some of these cars, where they put mufflers and stuff.
Yeah, and you have to remember that.
That's what's happening
Mhm.
with the traffic and the noise level. Now, I heard that in Orange County, if you go in with a car like that, they'll take it away from you, they give you a ticket, I mean, I've heard that, I don't know how true.
Yeah, there'll be changes in technology, but one of the main purposes of the plan is to make it so people don't have to drive as much. So it's definitely geared towards mobility other than automobiles. So it's going to work towards reducing automobile traffic.
I have one more question. This is more around the general plan. I know we had this presentation last year. What are the big highlights? John, can you come with the big highlights? One I noticed is from 5 to 6 stories now, being presented. A question regarding the setback from the railroad tracks. Did that change, or?
It was a compromise, and maybe Jose can help me with my memory, but I believe they started off, maybe we started off with about 80 feet, an 80-foot-ish setback. The major property owner wanted it down to 20 feet, and I believe the council ended up with 50 feet. Does that sound about right? More or less. Somewhere in there.
Yeah, that's roughly. Yep.
So with that in mind, as a mitigating measure, is there walls now to be raised, or
Oh, yes.
for the noise?
And we did get some comments from the California Public Utility Commission, and they asked us to kind of beef up that requirement a little more, so that is in the EIR.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
There are also state noise standards for residences facing public transit to require certain noise maximum limits. So,
Not me.
John, regarding the document that we received last month and that has resurfaced again
Yes.
here. I read it over last time, and it seems like this person here has got some legitimate concerns from Peter and Dana. I'm looking on the second page here. It talks about the permitted uses are not economically viable. Apparently, these people own this property. It sounds like we're getting ready to put some permitted uses, attach it to their property. And according to this fella, he says there's no demand. These are theoretical uses built around a concept that has not materialized into the real estate market, to a functional real estate market. And by restricting our property to uses that have no tenants and no developers is a death sentence for our property. And I'm looking on the second page, item number 3. It says here that the redevelopment is contingent on surrounding properties the city cannot control. It says here, as you go down further, it says if our property were required to redevelop under this plan while surrounding uses remain unchanged, the result would be our site standing alone, surrounded by non-conforming uses, cut off from the larger vision of the plan, which was designed to achieve and rendering unviable. We cannot be held to a plan whose success depends entirely on the private actions the city has no power to require. Is there anything to that, John?
Well, yeah, to some extent. As you know, we can't have 100% of everybody 100% happy. And there have been some compromises from all parts. One thing to say, and I'll just kind of show you where that land is. It's this area right here used to have the building that said Brown Yard for many years. So this property owner, most of the family, I think there's 2 brothers and a sister. Their brothers ran a company, I think Consolidated, that took over after Brown Yard left. So they were doing some metal work. And last year they demolished the buildings without a permit. So, and it's accessed by, it's an interesting property. It's a flag lot. So a flag lot means, kind of imagine a flag. It's shaped like a flag. The main property is, think of that as the banner itself, the flag, and the flag pole is the driveway to get to it. So it's a little difficult to access. It's a very unique property. But I'd like to kind of back up that for this project, one of the first things we did was conduct a market study. We hired a company called, as part of the MIG team, they hired a company called EPS. EPS is one of the biggest names in, the economists and checking out what's what's viable now and what can be viable into the future. We don't have crystal balls. So when I say that, yes, I mean, they may have some concerns. It really is the uncertainty of the future. We did that market study. We're confident that it's, that's based on the information we have now. But I can understand that it is reasonable from a property owner's point of view that's going through this change. What is going to happen? Things are changing with technology and, AI and Amazon and buying and selling habits. We really don't know. So I can personally sympathize with that uncertainty.
Now, this last one here, item number 4, this individual says that, I guess the plan calls for a right-of-way, 50-foot right-of-way through the property, permanently removing that land from productive use without compensation. And then, in addition to the 50-foot right-of-way, there's got to be a 50-foot buffer from industrial uses that's required from the right-of-way, which further reduces the usable area. And then, finally, the development setbacks of 40 to 50 feet from the western property line, and potentially the other property lines as well. So, according to this fellow, what he's going to end up with is it's going to produce a narrow, irregular, and ineffective, unbuildable footprint. No lender would finance it. No tenant would lease it. No developer would build on it. So, I mean, it seems like this fellow may have some legitimate concerns.
Yeah, and that's
So this one here, I'm sorry, excuse me. This one here requires a 40 to 100-foot setback, when some of these things in this plan require, looks like I saw one that has a minimum of 2-foot setback. That sounds, those are huge differences there. And of course, I'm not an expert, so I don't know if those are consistently throughout the entire plan or not. But anyway, I just thought I'd ask about that because this fellow seems like he's got some concerns that would concern me if I was a property owner.
Yeah. So I'd go back to the uncertainty, the unknown. So there is that sympathy. But as far as taking away property, it is, as Jose mentioned, there are concepts for roadways, and there is a width for a roadway to help connect. So on one hand, you could think of it as a positive to have some connection to Rosecrans, to theoretically continue this road southward and to help connect that property and bring it into the rest of the fabric of that central part of the town. But these lines are not cast in stone. And I like to also point out that, as I mentioned earlier, right now on the books, there is the opportunity for a property owner to construct housing at 22 homes per acre. I can't speak to, it's confidential if someone has, until somebody actually turns in an application. I can't in a public forum say if, what's in the works. But rest assured, I am aware that the property owner is weighing different options, and under the rules as it is right now, before the plan could take effect in June or so, I'm confident the owner could, take advantage of the Clearwater East specific plan before the Clearwater specific plan is adopted and takes effect.
Just one last question on this item. Just as a general policy, can an entity like the city come in and say, well, we need an access road to go through your property, and so we're going to take this 50-foot margin, and then we're going to also require a 40 to 50-foot setback where you can't do anything with that, and there's going to be no compensation for the property owner?
Well, there's dedications, and I think Lindsay can help me on this, but just compensation and whatnot.
Yes, before anything would be taken in the sense of we need to make a road go through your property, or we're going to, use half of your property for some public use, there would be an entire process that would be followed there that would make sure that the property owner their concerns were addressed and dealt with. So This isn't saying that they suddenly will lose all of their property or something like that could happen without a fairly lengthy process of notice and discussion and negotiation with them regarding what the result would be.
I didn't really hear the word compensation. Is there,
Yes, there could be.
could be, but there could not be also.
It depends on what the result of the discussion and what's being taken and all kinds of factors, but that would be part of that discussion.
May I ask what the current land use is of that specific property?
What's happening right now, or what the plan is on
currently
the
is.
books? Oh, right now, it's an unpermitted use. So since the owner took down the buildings without permits, well, they eventually got a permit retroactively, which was important to make sure all the utilities were capped correctly, and so there's no explosions or anything. Then they accepted a business signed a lease, also unsanctioned, without city sanction, to dump piles of dirt. So it was basically, I believe it's concrete and other types of construction debris, which is something we don't permit anywhere in town. Most cities are, don't want piles of construction debris just kind of lying around. And trucks and truck storage, also without permits. So my understanding, there's a code enforcement case, and I understand they're working to have those businesses leave.
John, that's the Brown Yard work.
Yes,
That is the one, right?
yes,
That he's, what's his name, Weisenberger's talking about.
yes.
So he actually owns all that land, is that correct?
The,
Is it
kind of this
straight
area
up
right
bringing
here.
up? You know,
Yeah.
because he's never really, he's always being like, he don't want to sell it, he wants to sell it, you know what I'm saying? That's what he's been at. He's been there for a long time, that property.
Family's
really.
been there for some time, yes.
It is, and now there looks like they're getting together now, so, okay. I understand that, what he's bringing up. That's my comment.
But this is a project that's going to take some time. It's not like it's, like you said, it's not set in stone. So there's going to be time for changes to be made. Is that correct?
That,
As it goes on.
yes, and it's completely voluntary if they, well, I can tell you this, there's state law, if they were to submit an application, a complete application, under today's rules for the 22 homes per acre,
Right.
the state allows the property owner, the developer, to take their time, basically, to take years to get permits and break ground. So they do have that option in the next few months. And then going forward, it's really up to them. All the property owners here. Maybe just to use another example that we haven't talked about, the very north is the retail center, has retail businesses, there's a Jack in the Box.
Right.
Some businesses come and go, but it's fairly leased up. It seems like a successful property in terms of businesses being stable. Most likely, you won't see any change there for some time. There probably is no need to change. They're doing very well as is. Jack in the Box is, there's always cars at Jack in the Box.
Oh, yeah.
So I would imagine, as Attorney Thorson said, if there are any property owners who have legitimate concerns or where some changes have to be made, I mean, if there's litigation or, discussion, it's going to be where it's an agreeable situation, I would imagine, before anything takes place. It would have to be.
We would think so, and there's been some time since we started this process. We've had conversations with different landowners, and I'd like to think we've worked collaboratively. That's the Paramount way. We're not just trying to put something, drop a plan, kind of like I mentioned that the state did last year with SB 79. Want this to be a win-win for everyone.
Thank you. One other question?
You know what they're
John, are we asking questions about everything that was in this big packet here?
You're welcome to, yes. of
Okay,
course. Yep.
okay. I noticed in here at one spot, there was actually on page 121, talking about natural gas. It says that it's recommended that the intention of this specific plan is to not include natural gas utilities within the specific plan area. However, on an individual basis, I guess they could here. So, and then in other places, it says that in these homes, I guess it's going to be recommended that we don't use natural gas appliances. I'm understanding that correctly, right? Because I just looked, I went into my checkbook and I noticed that last month, my natural gas bill, Southern California Gas, was $92, and my electric bill was $218. And then the month before that, my SoCal Gas, $90, Southern California Edison, $290. But yeah, we're going to say in our affordable housing that we're trying to make available for everybody, we're not going to have natural gas? Is that, I mean, am I reading this wrong?
Well, it's voluntary. It's voluntary. But I think the plan is speaking to what's happening, the reality. Housing developers, and I guess developers in general, are having a very difficult time with the utilities. So both Edison and the gas company,
I know, I don't like that, yeah.
they're having they're having a terrible, it's a lengthy, well, I'll give you a very specific example. Sprouts, the Sprouts Market that's, just south of this area, they want to open soon. I mean, there's no parking lot quite yet, but the building, if you go on inside, it's looking like a Sprouts with the shelves and the cashiers and whatnot. They want to train because it's the delays with Edison. They have now they've resorted to a temporary diesel generator to power the lights, to power the refrigeration, to get up to speed. So ideally, their opening date is scheduled for June. They want to have permanent power. They don't want to rely on that temporary diesel generator. It's not the best, it's not a sustainable business model. So that's one example. So housing developers, what we're seeing, like the ribbon cutting we attended just south of City Hall.
Right, I would
You remember
Yeah.
that there's no gas going to go there. And that's
right.
It's not like the developer has anything against gas. He does have something about getting these on the market quickly, and he doesn't want to wait for the gas company to come out and plan it out and activate. It's just taking way too long. That's gonna add months. So we're kind of jumping into that. So yeah, restaurants would be allowed, and if you're a restaurant, say a restaurateur, you're a chef, you probably want that natural gas to cook. That's very special when it comes to running a restaurant. I don't think electrical ovens and stovetops work well with restaurants. But if, on the housing side, we're seeing people may want to adjust, and if a landowner, if it's easier to get through the process with cutting out one of the utilities, that's something that the city could support.
Right. That's why the houses are going fast.
Exactly.
The ones we just broke, my God,
They were working at
all those 17 homes
yeah, they
are
were working at
almost done.
7:30 p.m. last week. So yeah,
Right.
Frames
I
up
passed
already.
through there and oh my God.
they're working.
Yes, they've got
I'm
frames
like,
up
"Ooh,
already.
Yeah, I really think this fella, of course, he's a Paramount High graduate.
Right.
That's why he's making it happen. But he's a hard worker, and he's the kind of guy that gets things done.
Yeah.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, that he knows in construction where to go by, you see? And that's why he's going fast. He would have been the other
Held
way.
up.
Oh, my God,
Yes.
they'd still
Yeah.
be getting approval.
But it's not just him. It seems like that's the new trend.
Right.
Seeing more and more of
In order
it,
for things to
yes.
move, yes.
That's the new trend.
Yes, yes.
He's almost got them done.
But really
All
good
right.
question. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, may I have a motion to close the public hearing, please?
Second.
Been moved in second that the public hearing be closed for the Clearwater Specific Plan Project, the first portion. May I have roll call, please?
Commissioner Sparza?
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Yes.
Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Vice Chair Weisenberger.
Yes.
Chair Timmons.
Yes. So now I'd like a motion for, to adopt the Planning Commission, for the Planning Commission to adopt Resolution Number PC 26007, recommending that the City Council certify the final environmental impact report, approve a mitigation monitoring and reporting program, and adopt a statement of overriding considerations associated with General Plan Amendment Number 26-1 and Zoning Ordinance Text Amendment Number 40 for the Clearwater Specific Plan Project.
Gonzalez moves to adopt PC 26007.
I'll second it.
Been moved in second. May I have roll call, please?
Commissioner Sparza.
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yes.
Commissioner Moody.
Yes.
Vice Chair Weisenberger.
No.
Chair Timmons.
Yes. Okay, and for item B, General Plan Amendment Number 26-1, I need a motion to accept Resolution Number PC 26008, recommending that the City Council of the City of Paramount approve a request to amend the Paramount General Plan to provide consistency with new mixed-use town center, town residential, flex district, and neo-industrial zones, and allow an increase in development capacity in the comprehensive update to the Clearwater East Pacific Plan in the City of Paramount.
Gonzalez moves to amend and accept amendment 26-1.
I'll second it.
Been moved in second, please. May I have roll call?
Commissioner Sparza.
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yes.
Commissioner Moody.
Yes.
Vice Chair Weisenberger.
No.
Chair Timmons.
Yes. Okay, and now we're down to item C, a zoning ordinance text amendment number 40. And it's for Planning Commission to adopt resolution number PC 26009, recommending that the City Council of the City of Paramount approve zoning ordinance text amendment number 40, repealing and replacing chapter 17.88 of the Paramount Municipal Code in its entirety to incorporate the Clearwater Specific Plan into the Paramount Municipal Code and replacing the Clearwater East Pacific Plan.
Gonzalez moves to amend amendment number 40, to adopt amendment number 40. Second.
Moved in second. May I have roll call, please?
Commissioner Sparza.
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yes.
Commissioner Moody.
Yes.
Vice Chair Weisenberger. Chair Timmons.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Now we're down to new business, public hearings. Public hearings under new business?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I was looking at the staff.
Oh,
So,
I could read this. I'm sorry. That's why you were caught off guard.
yeah, no problem at all. So, you might remember, some of you might remember, a few years ago, we had actually, this actually didn't go to you. So I'll give you some background. This is new news possibly. So a few years ago, out of business friendliness, the city council approved what we call a master conditional use permit. And let me kind of just briefly explain a master CUP. You don't see them very often. A lot of cities, they'll do it for restaurants. So they'll have like a district, maybe downtown, where this whole block has one conditional use permit for all the units, the suites. So just kind of a one-shot CUP, so the individual restaurants don't have to go through the whole process to either be a restaurant or to serve alcohol. So it's kind of a one-shot district kind of thing. But they come in different forms. We don't see them very often in any city, really, but they do pop up from time to time. And our council did approve something like that for 2 warehouse industrial parks, and one is on Somerset by the fire station, and the other is on Garfield, kind of just north of that, not too far, between Somerset and Rosecrans on the east side. The nice-looking warehouse, kind of large, has a sculpture in the front, concrete sculpture. So fast forward to now, we have an applicant with a similar request, and to kind of explain this would be Associate Planner Ivan Reyes.
Thank you, John. Good evening, Honorable Chair and Commissioners. Tonight, I will be presenting item number 3, conditional use permit number 992. This request is for a recommendation to the City Council to approve an operating covenant agreement that would establish a master conditional use permit or master CUP for warehouse uses at the Capitol Business Park. The project site is located at 15930 through 15962 Downey Avenue. It is within the M1 light manufacturing zone. The 8.98 acre subject site consists of 22 suites. These suites vary in size from about 3,500 square feet to just over 21,000 square feet. And on the right-hand side, you see an image of the Capitol Business Park entrance from the street view. To provide some background, in 2018, the City Council adopted ordinance number 1106, which updated the Paramount Municipal Code to require a conditional use permit for warehouse and distribution uses in both the M1 and M2 zones. This process includes a public hearing and is currently applied on a per suite basis. As a result, even when an existing business either expands or relocates within the same property, it triggers the need for a new CUP, which can be time-consuming for both the applicants and staff. In response to this, the property ownership team approached the city to explore the creation of a master CUP that would streamline this process. The intent is to reduce processing time and provide more predictable entitlements for tenants, specifically for vacant suites. The city previously approved, as John mentioned, a similar agreement in 2021 for other business centers, which have proven to be effective. And those were the Lions Business Center and the Somerset Business Partners. So here's a satellite view of the subject site there. As you can see, the yellow indicates the property line for the Capitol Business Park, located just east of Downey Avenue, just south of Alondra Boulevard. There's 5 buildings on site, as you can see there, building number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are all existing buildings. There's no improvements to the site or to any of the suites, the business suites that are located here. These are all existing and will remain the same. In the event that some business wants to move in or needs to upgrade or do some type of tenant improvement, we will work with them closely to ensure that they obtain the proper permits. As you can see, there's an abundance of parking spaces all throughout the subject site, with each corresponding to the specific suite. And here's just some closer look at the subject site photos. As you can see on the left-hand side, Capitol Business Park. They actually went through an extensive landscape upgrade on the front off of Downey Avenue. They upgraded all of the landscaping. There were some dead trees that were sprinkled throughout the property in the front. They upgraded their Capitol Business Park sign, as you can see there. They upgraded with decorative stone just to make it more visible for this site size. And then on the top right, you can see they also installed some wrought iron gates for safety purposes here. So at the end of the day, when the businesses are majority all closed, they close that gate there for safety purposes. So there's no one wandering in or loitering inside during after hours. The proposed master CUP would be implemented through an operating covenant agreement that would be recorded with the Los Angeles County Registrar Recorder's Office. This agreement includes conditions similar to those found in a traditional CUP, but allows for a more effective review process for future tenants. Some key provisions of the agreement include requirements that each tenant obtain and maintain a valid city business license. The Planning and Building Department would still review each proposed tenant to determine whether additional approvals are necessary. Truck parking would be limited to designated truck wells or other city-approved areas on site. There are also specific prohibited uses, such as the automobile parts, tobacco, firearms, hazardous materials. Now, I do want to point out, in the past, in similar subject sites, alcohol uses or alcohol storage we have permitted through a conditional use permit. Now I do want to point out that would still be permitted, but only if they obtain a conditional use permit. So it won't be permitted by right, they would have to go through the proper avenues to get the permits required for that. So that's specific for the alcohol and the other uses that I've mentioned there before. In addition to the agreement, we are requiring the installation of 2 electric vehicle chargers, or EV, for shared use prior to the implementation. This is, again, part of the sustainability aspect of Paramount, to ensuring that this is there for the better use of the people using this site. And as always, all work and storage activities must occur indoors, and outdoor storage is not permitted. From the analysis standpoint, this agreement represents a strong opportunity to partner with a longstanding property owner while maintaining appropriate regulatory oversight. It helps ensure compatibility with surrounding neighborhoods and supports a high quality of life. It also promotes environmental sustainability and improves staff efficiency compared to the current CUP process. The property management has an established practice of screening tenants to avoid potentially disruptive uses. So with that, it is recommended that the Planning Commission adopt resolution number PC 26010, recommending that the City Council approve a request by Clifford G. Franzen on behalf of Hunt Management Company for Capital Business Properties LLC to approve an operating covenant agreement for a master conditional use permit for warehouse uses. This concludes my presentation, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? I have one question. Do you have a question you want to ask? No. I was looking at the description, and it's saying that some of the businesses, when they started, they didn't have conditional use permit. But what if they're doing something, I don't want to say illegally, but outside of what the new ordinance would require?
That's a good question. Yeah, we would examine those on a case-by-case basis, depending on the use that they're currently operating in. A lot of those will fall under like a legal non-conforming use, so meaning at the time they were approved without the requirement for a use permit. So in the event if they were to expand or something, we would just work with them to ensure that they might fall under the warehouse use that they're doing now, or they might need additional permits.
And that's when they lease them, right? That's when they come in.
Correct.
But I'm speaking of the ones that are already there.
Or the ones that are there, either renewing a business license, that could be an instance, or if they're taking over a neighboring business, we would just make sure how they're operating their business as it is right now to ensure it meets the master covenant conditions of approval.
And one other question, I saw in one of the slides that it's a requirement that there's the EV station there. What if nobody has an EV that worked there? Is it for the public as well?
That would be mostly, generally it is for the subject site, but I mean, it's something that the public use could also be warranted, depending on where it is. You notice there was the gate that kind of closes the, I guess, the subject site after a certain time. So we will work with them to see the location of it. But generally, those are the higher ones, like the EV chargers that you see sprinkled throughout shopping centers. It could have that potential to be used as for public as well.
Was that one EV charging thing, or was that was 2?
It would be 2,
Is
yes,
that 2 per
correct.
building?
It would be 2 for the subject site, so just 2 parking spaces, essentially.
I got a question. Are those things for free or you have to pay for it?
I believe some of them you do have to pay for the use of them. I think depending on the car or the make, sometimes you get free miles out of them. But generally, it is a paid use.
All right,
That's why I was wondering if it's open to the public, because yes, you do have to pay.
yeah.
Yeah. And they're pretty clean. It's pretty clean place, really. Especially with that gate new gate coming in.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, really, really good improvements. Yeah, yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. So we will open the public hearing for a recommendation that the city council, well, first we'll open the public hearing. Do we have any testimony? I'm all back.
No, we don't.
Okay. And nothing in rebuttal or any note?
Well, I should note that the applicant is in the audience if you have any questions for the applicant.
Do you want to come up and speak, sir?
Good evening. Thank you, Commissioners, Madam Chair. I have nothing specific to say. I'm happy to answer any questions. I will reiterate, I think, what John said. We have invested a lot of money in the park in the last year. We just re-slurried the park. We just painted the buildings. We did a landscaping project in the front, which we expect to extend throughout the back of the property. We just re-slurried the property. Currently, most recently, we worked with the school district to replace, to tear out some overgrown shrubbery and trees on the, I guess that would be the south perimeter in the back of the property toward the east, back by the ball fields and the track. The school district took out some overgrown shrubs and we let them install some posts on our property, and they put in a 12-foot fence with, I'll call it a screen, so that the kids can't see us and we can't see the kids. But it's a very nice improvement. They've done about, I'm going to say about 60–70% of that. They have a little bit left to do as they go to the east towards the power lines. You know, we're working hard to improve the property. As was stated, this would be a good partnership with us in the city to get tenants in, good qualified tenants, make the process easier, more efficient for them, more cost effective for them, and for your staff as well, while we maintain a high standard for both the city and for our tenants. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you for that. I should have asked you in the beginning to state your name, please.
I'm sorry, Cliff Franzen.
Franzen? Thank
Franzen,
you.
F-R-A-N-Z-E-N.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions for Mr.?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for that. Okay, may I have, are there any other questions first? May I have a motion to close the public hearing, please?
I'll move to close.
Thank you. Been moved in second. May I have a roll call?
Commissioner Sparza? Commissioner Gonzalez? Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Vice Chair Weisenberger?
Yes.
Chair Timmons?
Yes. So I'd like a motion to approve the request of Mr. Clifford Franson, Hunt Management Company, for Capital Business, for the Capital Business Properties LLC, for a master conditional use permit for warehouse uses at 15930, 15962 Downey Avenue in the light manufacturing zone.
I'll make a motion.
Been moved in second. May I have roll call, please?
Commissioner Sparza?
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Yes.
Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Vice Chair Weisenberger?
Yes.
Chair Timmons?
Yes. So we're down to item number 4, conditional use permit number 993.
Yes, so we're really happy about this one. That's some technical issues. There's microphone fixed. A lot of people like coffee. I think most of us like coffee, so you can't go wrong with another coffee business.
Oh, then we have a
We hear that residents want more choices, so this is great. We have some more options, and our wonderful planning intern, Caitlin Ott, will give the presentation.
So, good evening, Honorable Chair and members of the Planning Commission. The item before you comes from Mario Moreira to approve conditional use permit number 993, which is a request to allow the operation of a coffee shop with indoor customer seating at 14800 Paramount Boulevard. The applicant proposes to convert an existing office building, which measures 2,225 square feet, in the C3 or general commercial zone. Pictured on the right here is the building in its current state from the west-facing point of view along Paramount Boulevard. You can see the front of the building there as well as the parking lot. So just for some background, the lot totals 11,283 square feet, and it is developed with one 2,225 square foot building. In 2011, it was remodeled following the Development Review Board's approval of Development Review Application number 10010, and this was a request to remodel the exterior of an existing 990 square foot fast food restaurant. And then in 2022, a front addition was constructed following approval of Development Review Application number 21005. So this was to construct a 516 square foot addition to an, at the time, 1,709 square foot commercial building, bringing it to the building we see today with 2,225 square feet. So the applicant is proposing to convert the existing office building into a coffee shop to be named Coffee Port. The office building is currently vacant and would be remodeled to accommodate a coffee bar and display case, indoor lounge seating areas for customers, and then employee-only areas for storage, breaks, and other administrative duties. The applicant here proposes to serve food and beverages on site with proposed hours of operation of Monday through Saturday from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. and then Sundays from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And the applicant does anticipate a total of 20 employees with 3 employees per shift. So here we have an aerial view of the property. It's located on the southeast corner of Paramount Boulevard and 3rd Street, south of the Paramount High School West Campus. And then to the west of the subject site would be the Paramount Swap Meet and Our Lady of the Rosary Church across Paramount Boulevard. And the 11,283 square foot lot here is again developed with one 2,225 square foot building, which was originally a restaurant and then an office building. There are currently 14 parking spaces on the property, including one handicap spot noted in blue there. And then the trash enclosure noted here in red will have a proposed modification where it will be expanded to accommodate additional containers. For the floor plan here, the applicant is proposing to convert the existing office building into a coffee shop with an 884 square foot lounge area with seating. That would be lounge 1 here in blue that has 24 seats. And then to the left, we have a 374 square foot second lounge area with another 16 seats there. And then the remaining 967 square feet noted in red here would be utilized for the work and service area, an office, storage spaces, an employee break area, as well as public restrooms. Outdoor seating is not proposed, and customer seating is limited to 42 seats in the interior of the building only due to the 14 parking spaces. But between the 2 lodges, there are currently 40 seats, so the applicant is within that limit. And then here we have some site photos. On the top left here, we have the west-facing side of the building again. The fencing here will be refurbished and repainted with separate review and approval from the planning division as needed, along with review of the landscaping there. And then the top right photo here depicts the current trash enclosure, which again will be expanded to accommodate additional containers for garbage, organic waste, and non-organic recyclables. The bottom left photo here shows one of the office rooms. This one specifically is where the proposed work service area will be for the baristas. So the wall on the left side of the photo will be removed and replaced with a counter and display case. And then the photo on the bottom right shows the parking lot on the south side of the building, which will be reslurried and restriped as one of the conditions of approval. As for analysis, so the proposed business is located in an appropriate commercial zone and is compatible with the surrounding businesses. The location is also adequate in size and sufficient parking will be provided. As for a few of the conditions of approval for this proposal, the applicant and all successor tenants shall obtain and maintain a current City of Paramount business license, as is required for all contractors, business, and affiliates in the City of Paramount if they wish to work or conduct business in the city. And then the outside premises shall be maintained in a clean manner at all times, and trash and debris shall be promptly removed from the yard areas, landscaped areas, and the surrounding property perimeter. Again, customer seating is limited to 42 seats in the interior of the building only, and then any additional seating would require the modification of the CUP and shall comply with the associated parking requirements for the zone. And the business shall comply with Chapter 17.118 of the Paramount Municipal Code regarding receptacles, facilities, and storage for garbage waste, refuse, trash, organic waste, and non-organic recyclables. And the existing trash enclosure shall be expanded as needed to accommodate all the required containers. And so the staff's recommendation to the Planning Commission here is to adopt resolution number PC 26011, which would approve CUP number 993, subject to the conditions of approval in the resolution. And this item does align with our strategic outcome number 3, economic health. That does conclude my presentation, but I'm happy to answer any questions, and we do have the applicant here as well if you have any questions. Thank you.
Good report. Do we have any questions? Well, I'm happy to see this building become a coffee shop.
What? What was that?
It's going to be a coffee shop, a coffee port.
Right.
I'm happy to see that because this changed so many times. So it seems like this would be excellent. Plenty of parking. How many parking spaces are there?
There are 14 parking spaces in total.
14 in total.
Yeah.
Bring back the Tasty Freeze.
Tasty Freeze was there a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
That's what I said, so many things.
Talk to the applicant. Serving ice cream, too. Coffee and ice cream, wasn't it?
Right.
Oh, like an affogato, espresso with some ice cream?
Yeah.
Yes.
Huh?
And the applicant
It
is
does.
here. Would you
It
like
adds a lot of
to
stuff.
come up and speak,
I think they had a lot of stuff to them.
if you like?
Oh, yeah, well, that used to be Spa.
They redid that building, redeveloped that building. Looks pretty good.
Yes, please.
Fine.
And state your
Great.
name for us, please.
Mario Moreira, good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Thanks, Kylie, that was a great presentation. I got all my kids for support also. So I do manage and own 2 more businesses here in Paramount also. It's a paint company on Garfield and also on Colorado, a hardware store. So I do like Paramount a lot. It's very business friendly. And this is an idea that I had to open a coffee shop for the last 10 years, and I've been and finally decided to do it. And we want to plan a really new place, new style. You know, like I know there is a Starbucks and other, but we want to make it like experience. So that's the idea with this coffee shop. Any questions? I'm open.
Thank you, sir. Any questions?
Look forward to trying your coffee. Is this your first shot at a coffee shop or restaurant type of business?
I had a Baskin Robbins ice cream before in the city of Long Beach. So I do have experience running a business like that.
Look forward to it.
All right.
When I was a student, at that school many years ago, like we said, it used to be an ice cream place.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And my kids would go there. And so I imagine with coffee as popular as it is nowadays, you'll probably get a lot of kids from the school, which could be a blessing, but on the other hand, it could be a...
Right. I've seen a lot of kids going all the way to 7-Eleven to buy some stuff when they are out. So there will be more convenience for them also, yes. And that might be not a bad idea in ice cream, you know. Bring your memories back.
Right.
Right.
Well, actually, I think it's a great idea because if you're opening, I think I saw 7 a.m. in the morning,
Oh, 6 a.m., I think.
6 a.m.?
6, yeah.
6 a.m. So a lot of kids need to stop and have something quick before they get to class, so.
Not just kids.
Right.
And not just kids, exactly, right?
Yeah, and also if I may, with my kids being with the new idea of being healthy, we plan to have like healthy snacks, to help also with the health of our youngs.
We'll have some healthy donuts.
It'll be vegan donuts, I guess.
Healthy
Vegan
donuts,
donuts.
that'll go real well.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Excuse me a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I am going to make a recommendation for you, just to make a note of it. One of the nuns at Our Lady of the Rosary is always asking me, what are they going to put in that building? You know? one of your kids would invite Sister Anna. She's one of the last nuns left in Our Lady of the Rosary. She's always asking me, and she loves coffee.
Okay. I will be very happy to. Is that the church across?
I'll mention it to her.
Is that the church across the
Yeah,
place?
across the street.
Ah, cool. Yeah,
It's
will be.
across the street from them, and she's always asking me that question. Because I'm pretty close to the nuns there.
Okay.
There for years, so anyway.
We'll be very happy
School
to.
there, my kid.
We'll be very happy to invite her,
Yes.
and you guys get a discount too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very much.
Good luck.
Good
Thank
luck.
you very much, yes, good luck. Okay, do we have any other questions? Okay, let's open the public hearing. Do we have any testimony, favor, opposed, or rebuttals?
And we don't, neither in favor or opposed.
Thank you. Okay, may I have a motion to close the public hearing, please?
I'll move to close.
Second.
Been moved in second, may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Sparza?
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez? Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Vice Chair Weisenberger?
Yes.
Chair Timmons?
Yes. So I need a motion to approve conditional use permit number 993. It's resolution number 26011, a request by Mario Moreira Coffee Port to operate a coffee shop with indoor customer seating at 14800 Paramount Boulevard in the C3 General Commercial Zone.
Sparta will make a motion to approve resolution number PC 26011.
Been moved in second, may I have roll call, please?
Commissioner Sparza?
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez? Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Vice Chair Weisenberger?
Yes.
Chair Timmons?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Good luck to you, sir.
Good luck, yes.
And your family. Okay, item number 5 is a zoning ordinance text amendment number 41. Is there a staff report, please?
There is. So I mentioned earlier that we're going to talk a lot about the state as we tend to do. This is another case of the state passing a law or I'm trying to think of a diplomatic way to say it. So, maybe, well, just simply imposing their authority on local jurisdictions. So, we want to comply with the state. So that's what this is about. We have a chapter in our code, chapter 17.20. It's called Initiative Regulating Density, and it goes back to the late 80s when the voters actually, I think this is the only time that's happened in Paramount. The voters, by an initiative, did a sign here, and there were enough signatures, and they brought it to the council, and they got it to took it to the county to add it to the election that year. So, and it was approved. So I want to like to tie that into, well, it's a recommendation to the council. The council would have to take the final action, but it has to do with the housing element. So I kind of mentioned this earlier as well. The housing element is our housing plan. All cities, all counties have to do this every 8 years. And our 8-year cycle in the Southern California was 2021, or we're in the middle of it, 2021 to 2029. In the process of developing the housing element, which led to its approval by the council in 2022, and then the state certifying the housing element later in that same year. In our conversations with the state, they told us you have no choice. You have to eliminate the applicability of this proposition, this measure that the voters voted in 1988. So we've been doing that by policy since then. So what you're seeing this evening, it's going to take us a few years, as you could tell, but we're officially taking action to clarify the inapplicability of Proposition FF by operation of law. So back to 1988, that special election that approved Proposition FF, it limited residential development, except for senior housing, there was that exception, limited it to 22 homes per acre, and that was in place for many years since then. Excuse me. And below that's an excerpt. That's, if you're a voter, that's what you saw on your ballot. It's kind of simplified about the discussion of 22 units per acre, but that's what it kicked in the of the initiative, shall a measure to amend the City of Paramount General Plan dealing with maximum density permitted in multiple family residential zoning, special housing opportunity areas, and exempting senior citizen housing development be adopted? Yes or no? The yeses won, so it was approved by the voters. And just thought I'd give you a little excerpt. This is the LA Times, I guess the next day, 2 days later. I guess they had to count it. You can see there's a quote here from George Tanner, who chaired or pushed this along. The city will be better off with less density. They will not have to contend with the congestion, overcrowding, and increased crime caused by density. And Councilmember Mulrooney was conciliatory. You can see there were no sour grapes. The council will respond to the will of the people. And we carried on. The council followed through. We changed the code, and we had been carrying on with this policy or this limitation until the development of the housing element in 2022, leading to 2022. So with that,
Pass again this year. Sorry if I were to interrupt. But I'll bet you that same proposal would probably pass still at the city.
that's an interesting point, and that leads to we'll kind of explain the how we frame the code change, because that is, you're probably not wrong. So we the council adopted the housing element with that program. We'll just call it Program 22, invalidating Proposition FF. Got that certification, and here this is an excerpt directly from the housing element. The city has deemed the provisions of Proposition FF inapplicable by operation of law and no longer applies at 22 dwelling units per acre maximum citywide. The city will clarify the inapplicability of the proposition either through the adoption of a resolution or other binding commitment. And this, we figured out through the city attorney that this is the best way to achieve that goal. So it implements policy, and as you know, so since then we have approved a few things. We just did so. What you recommended the approval, also falling in line with the state to increase housing density. You saw it was, quite a jump from 22 units per acre. No talk of senior, any type of housing. Anyway, the state's been passing laws. SB 79 is requiring density up to 100 units per acre. So it's the law of the land. The other area is the North Paramount Gateway specific plan area, which allows up to 30 and 40 units per acre. So passed the 22. So unfortunately, I did not include the excerpt of the actual draft ordinance, but it is before you. There was a little change that we did. So I rifled through my materials. Rather than striking the entire section, which was one option, just repeal that chapter in its entirety. So sometimes we do that. The code will say chapter such and such, or a subsection or section is repealed in its entirety. Our legal judgment was to keep, because the voters voted it in, keep that language intact so they'll still be in our code, but to add the language, the following subsections were adopted by a vote. Well, this is already in there. The following subsections were adopted by a vote of the people on November 8, 1988, but add, however, the following subsections are rendered inapplicable pursuant to state law. And again, in the second section, the following subsection is rendered inapplicable pursuant to state law. So we're keeping that language that was voted in, and it's just to your point, Mr. Weisenberger, if we were to strike it out, we would probably have to take it back to the voters included in one of the elections, and there's a strong likelihood that we would get that same result, and then we're in a conundrum. We want to comply with state law, but then we're again have this vote for the people. So it's an interesting legal situation. So with our legal team, this is the choice we're taking, and we're recommending approval. And happy to answer any questions. I guess we saved the best one for last.
Well, I know we have questions.
I have a question.
Sure.
So by keeping the language in there, if anything should change up in Sacramento, then we've already got like, kind of like a backstop of what was in place before, and conceivably, we could go back to that?
Yes, so as of right now, what the state has done, this section is already inoperable. So we're not able to rely on it as it is now because of the current state of California law. But yes, in the future, if they said we no longer have a state law that mandates a higher threshold, then this would still be in place. It hasn't been repealed or changed, just as of the current law. We can't go back to those limitations right now. So with the addition today, we're not really making a change to what's there now. We're just adding language that, say somebody opens up our code and sees that section and thinks, why are we not following that right now? Someone would be able to note that it's because of the state law that right now that's not an applicable statute.
So to be clear on that, when you're saying that we cannot go back to that, it's because they're requiring the new housing requirements, meaning like the density of the housing, so that's why.
So right now, the state law, which would supersede what we have put in place, says that we have to allow higher densities. So that's why we can't put that lower cap based on what the state law is now.
I have one other thing. I know that we are applying what we need to apply as far as state laws, and we're adhering to the new density laws that we have to adhere to. Are we putting as much emphasis on the parking that this is going to create by adding, at least going from 22 to 30 houses per acre? I mean, you're talking about more cars, more families. Kids are not leaving home anymore, so, I mean, we've got extra amount of cars regardless, and then we're also putting in an area where, we're talking about, we're trying to coerce people into walking more. This is California. People like their cars. Some people have 2, 3, 4 per family. I have 2, and I'm the only person at my house. So, I'm just saying, hopefully we're putting as much emphasis on parking. That we're going to.
The city where they can is doing that. However, there are some limitations that the state also has put in place as far as parking requirements, especially when it's near transit-oriented developments. So to the extent that we can, yes.
So the state has quasi-moved the number of parking spaces that we need to have per units. Disaster waiting to happen, if you ask me. But that's just my opinion.
Well, can I comment on your
Absolutely.
comment on your comment? If there is such a thing. I had a bunch of other questions during the first part of this with this general plan, but I may have been out of line to ask them all. But since we're talking, I mean, I didn't really want to direct my questions towards John. This is the group that has to vote on it. I was reading in the information here that everything is geared in this one area. I was looking at where the words, there were 2 main words, higher or reduced. Those were the words. And I want to find it here just so I can think. And it had to be tough for the city council because they were presented this. I think in 2025, here it is, on April 1st, 2025, the city council considered options. I'm sure it wasn't on their own volition. They considered options for higher density, reduced building setbacks, reduced minimum housing unit sizes, reduced parking requirements, and reduced open space requirements within the Clearwater specific plan. Now, I'm sure that wasn't voluntary. Hey, why don't we add density, reduce everything else, including housing size, parking requirements. So I'm thinking, so then you read a little bit deeper into this plan, and like on page, I think it was page 6 of this plan here. It's talking about, you know, these, let's see, I have it here. And this is about AB 2097, parking requirements near the transit. The law eliminates minimum parking requirements. Okay, so the law eliminates those requirements, but there's nothing that says that we can't put it in ourselves, right? We just don't, they eliminate the minimum parking requirements. So if the state comes in and says, you have to have a minimum of 1 parking space for all of these 92 units per acre. Okay, so that's 92 spots. If the state says that, minimum of 1 parking space per unit. So the state says, well, that's a lot of parking spaces, so we're just gonna do away with the minimum. So now we're not requiring any, but that doesn't mean that's the law. Why can't somebody come in and say, you know what, that's not right. You got 92 houses there, we gotta have at least 92 parking spaces. Oh no, because the builders, it's gonna be too expensive, I would imagine. So, and then we're told we have to approve it, because that's what the state says. And I don't know, I'm having a hard time buying it. And I got other notes here on page 86, page 92, page 94, you know, and I just, I didn't want to bring this up when everybody else was here. But now that we're just here, you know, I mean, we have a thing in education where you say, what you allow, you encourage. What you allow. If you allow certain kids in your classroom to mouth off and to goof around while the teacher's trying to teach you, if you let that go, you just encourage it. So
Vice Chair Weisberg, you bring up some good points, but just to, we might be straying a little bit from this particular item, but just to kind of maybe unpack it a little bit. You're right, inside this, you started reading, I believe it's the staff report about the proposals, about the reduced unit size and the reduced setbacks. And I'm not sure if it's clear to you where that came from. That was a request of the landowner. So that didn't come from the consultant, did not come from staff. It came from the Bianchi Interest Modern Development Company. So yeah, through those series of meetings last year, it was a difficult series of meetings for the council members. They had to make these decisions, and I think if you go back, and a lot of it is on YouTube, you know, it's recorded and up and posted up. I think you would be proud of how they handled it and where they landed. Yes, there were some compromises. I know it's just really not easy. But they made their recommendation, and that's where we get to, you know, the state passing SB 79. The second part about the state law about minimum parking, and you're right that we can add something to the plan. It's just not enforceable, and that's what the council did. They did hold firm. The landowner was asking for reduced parking in the plan, and they did not budge on that. The council did not budge. So it is in the plan, but the caveat is, you know, whenever there's state law, if a developer comes to the planning counter, hey, I have this proposal, I want to build this housing, and here's the number of parking spaces. Ideally, we would like to work with them to have them come up to what the city council approved and what's in the plan. That's our hope. But in reality, if they waive state law, we have to abide by state law, as you know.
I thought state law was 1.5.
I'm sorry?
I thought state law was 1.5
1.5
per house.
Parking space, you mean?
Yeah. I thought they dropped it from 2 to 1.5.
I believe in some cases it's even less than that. It's actually, in some cases they're not requiring it. A lot of it would end up being market-based. So ideally, a developer sees that the market to actually sell a home or to rent out, they're gonna have a difficult time if there's no parking at all. So some of it, we're hoping, that's our hope, is there will be market-driven, that if you want to have a successful housing development, you're going to want to put some parking there.
So John, so I'm clear, the property owners came to the city council and said, we'd like you to consider all of these requests for higher and reduced.
They did.
And the city can't come in and say, well, thank you for your thoughts, and we know it's your property, but this is what we require here in the city. And this is what's in the best interest of our residents.
And they did. I'd say 90% they held firm on their beliefs and their plan, but there was some compromise. There was some compromise.
Especially with Bianchi.
Yes.
They did, he did.
I just.
I remember that.
From, in the past years, and more related to the ADUs where there's no parking requirements, I think we've lost that battle as far as parking.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, anybody could build, put the ADU without having to put any parking requirements. So that's why you just glossed over that.
See, that goes back to what you allow, you encourage. There was another spot here, this is my opinion, of course. There was another spot in here where they want to reduce the width of a lane in that specific area, in the interior portions. I guess the normal lane is like 12 feet.
It's 12.
And they want to reduce it to 10, okay? And so I went out and measured my Suburban. Just the backside of my Suburban is 6.5 feet. So we're gonna lower it to 10, but then on the same page, right across from it, it says the tree wells have to be a minimum of 36 square feet, and that would be a 6 by 6 square. 6 times 6 is 36. So for a tree well, it can be 6 foot, but the lane for your car can only be 4 more feet wider than that. That doesn't make any sense to me. And then in addition to that, since parking is going to be a premium on these narrow streets, they're talking about not only narrowing the lanes, but limiting the lanes to 1 lane going in each direction, and then putting in these bike paths that, hey, you know, in a certain number of years, I'm sure there'll be hundreds of bikes there. Just like in Downey, on Downey Avenue, they did the same thing. There were 2 lanes going northbound, 2 lanes going southbound, and they put these lanes in. I've never seen 1 person on them.
It's interesting.
I haven't either.
No.
Just one quick point. I'm sorry, we really are strained, but Paramount Boulevard, when it was improved about 10 years ago, we call it the Paramount Boulevard Urban Revitalization.
Revitalization, yeah.
I remember that.
Yes. So that actually happened there. So the 12-foot lane, actually, they're more like 14-footers in some cases. They were reduced. I don't know if they went down to 10, but 10 to 11 feet. And for the most part, it works. We don't hear about cars scraping. So I understand your point, but just to kind of put that out there, that there, you know, we did not take away a lane that was not feasible. You know, we want to encourage parking in our downtown area. It makes sense to have street parking. So we did not take away a lane, but we did do a little bit of a maybe taboo to say road diet, meaning the size of the lanes did go down a little bit.
Have you seen parking spaces in any shopping center?
Yeah, I know
They're
it.
not made for suburban.
No, they aren't. They aren't. So, I mean, I think we all agree here that cars are not going anywhere in the near future. But yet, a lot of this stuff is going in that direction, and I don't think it's going to work. I just don't. That's just me. You know, I don't have a crystal ball. They want us to be like the people are in Europe with all this public transportation, and you know, most of the buses I see are empty nowadays anyway. I'm driving up and down the street, so I fear for this plan, whether it's really going to be a success.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Gordon, at some point, the market forces will have to work.
Yes.
Right now, we're kind of being pushed, to your point. But at some point, if it doesn't work, it'll break. It's just, in asking the question, well, if it's state law, can we challenge it? And that takes cost as well. It takes an investment, and I don't know that that's the best way to use our funds.
Hey, I got a question. If you build a building, it's got a lot of rooms, how many does the state tell you gotta build per year? 17, something like that?
They are encouraging, well, yeah, we have to plan, every 8 years, we get a number, we're assigned a number. Our number for this 8-year term is 364. And to some extent, yes, if every year we submit a report, we just did it last night, every April 1st, a city turns in a report. And if you're a city and your report is showing numbers, you're not gonna meet the goal, they're gonna start knocking on your door. Luckily, we're we're meeting our goals so far, we're happy to say.
And what I'm saying, if you get this big thing going, does that, you got a bunch of years that you don't have to build anything, right?
Well, you zone for it, and it's kind of like, we don't know about the market. Yeah, the economy could go up and down, and sometimes the cities can make it, but the state just wants to see that you're taking at least the minimum actions, the programs in your housing element to further that along.
I wonder if these people in Sacramento ever get out and drive around and look at different cities that you can't build. I don't think they do.
It's tough. It's tough.
I don't know
The next planning cycle, the next time we do this, it's going to be really hard to find the location and we're going to get a higher number, I'm sure. So that'll be an interesting process.
Because we're running out of land space. But not only that, I think that, as you said, our council, they did compromise because they know that, we have to do certain things as far as state law is concerned. But also, doesn't it have to do with eventually, it has to do with grants? Obtaining grants or, getting a grant for certain uses or building or whatever. If we're not we got to be in compliance. But, I think that has a lot to do with us staying above board and doing what we're supposed to do as far as the state is concerned.
That's true. There's more enforcement and compliance, and you hear some stories. The state is threatening to take over the land use authority of a city. They might say, you can't issue any permits for now. We've seen that.
Right.
Okay.
Because it's big, this is one of the biggest projects, really, for the land that Paramount has now. Really, Bianchi's.
Mr. Gordon, you're singing my tune.
Okay, well, first I need to ask, do we have any testimony? I guess the testimony in favor and opposed was right here, right?
There's no testimony submitted.
Okay, I need a motion, please, to close the public hearing for zoning ordinance text amendment number 41.
Motion to close.
I'll second it.
Been moved in second. May I have roll call, please?
Commissioner Sparza?
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Yes.
Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Vice Chair Weisenberger?
Yes.
Chair Timmons?
Yes. So now I need a motion to adopt, I need Planning Commission to approve a motion to adopt resolution number PC 26012, recommending that the City Council approve zoning ordinance text amendment number 41, amending subsection 1720.010, the density in multiple family residential zones, and subsection 1720.020, special housing opportunities of Title 17, zoning of the Paramount Municipal Code to implement Program 22 of the Sixth Cycle Housing Element Program by clarifying, inapplicability of Proposition FF of 1988 by operation of law. Motion, please.
Gonzalez move to adopt the text amendment number 41.
Second.
Moved in second. May I have roll call, please?
Commissioner Sparza?
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Yes.
Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Vice Chair Weisenberger?
No.
Chair Timmons?
Yes. Okay. So we're down to reports. Item number 6, oral report by City Council actions
Yes, at the
and City Council actions.
I mentioned that every April 1st, every city has to turn in it's called an annual progress report, where this massive spreadsheet for every home that we look at, every home that we take an application in, we consider an application complete. These are the milestones. Issue permits and complete certificate of occupancy. You list them, you list the address, and the state also wants to know the affordability. If it's a market rate home, how many are there? And if it's not market rate, is it a moderate income, low income, very low? They have new categories, acutely low and very low, I guess. Extremely low, yes, believe it or not. So and that's basically homeless if you don't have any possessions or income, so you're on that far end. So the council reviewed our report last week, and I'm proud to say that Assistant Planner Leslie Corrales, who's not here this evening, she gave her first city council presentation, and she did a wonderful job.
Great,
Congratulations.
right.
And that concludes my report.
Okay. Okay, item number 7. Comments, please, from our city attorney?
No comments tonight, thank you.
I'm afraid to ask. Commissioners?
I just have one. My only comment is, I know because of the Brown Act, we're not allowed to talk to each other off the record about these items unless it's just a one-on-one type of thing. So in my opinion, if a person's got questions, this is a place to ask them. And the discussion, I didn't mean to, John, to be putting you on the spot by those questions, you know, but I was really making sure that we're all on board and we all understand what we're voting for.
Right.
Just like this last one. I cannot, with my whole heart, say, I recommend, City Council, that we go from what the people voted on to what the state wants. I just can't recommend that. So that's my vote. Of course, I just happened to be watching something on PBS too about the American Revolution. And the Boston Tea Party, yeah, and the Boston Tea Party and the Boston Massacre. I'm all fired up.
Well, and just to clarify, just to clarify on that one,
I do want to say, I know it's kind of hard, especially for residents that have been in this city for years, you, me, as well. But, you know, I'm proud of our city council because we are having to move forward. I understand that. And, I mean, at some point, it's just like anything else, as you were talking about students, you know, you really have to get into the mold of some things and move forward, because that's what's happening now. It's not just our city. It's in all the local cities. You can see Long Beach had, at their city council meeting last week, I mean, I think they were there till like 1 o'clock in the morning, going through some of the same kind of situations. So, and you were talking about on Downey Boulevard. I mean, it's the same thing all over. So it's not that we're the lone person, or the lone city, but some of it has to be conforming, because that's just how things are moving now. We have more people, we have to accommodate, and we may not like it and not like how it's being formed, but it's how it is right now.
and just to clarify on the last item regarding the voter initiative. So our action tonight is not the action that rendered it inapplicable. It already is by the state law, and so this was just a matter of making sure our documentation notes that. So it's not you or the city council in the future making the determination. It's the state that
They're mandated.
made that.
We understand. Well, I understand that, so. Okay, any other comments from commissioners? Staff?
Well, just to follow up on Vice Chair Weisenberger, it was completely fine. So we've always said you have to vote with your conscience. I would never tell you how to vote. You know, we give recommendations, but I'm not twisting your arm by any means. And and we always appreciate, I think we're all very respectful, and it makes it, so, and again, I have to give this presentation to the council. So if there's any comments, even if someone votes yes and you have concerns, it helps me give a better presentation to the council to consider that and give a more thoughtful, and prepare for their questions that they're gonna have. So I'll complete appreciation across the board. So thank
Well,
you.
usually I like to call you, you know, and talk
We
one-on-one
do.
rather than do it here in this setting, but I guess I didn't get around to it this time.
No
Let me
problem at
make
all.
one other comment, too. I do go to the council meetings, not every meeting, but if you do, then you would see how our city council, our mayor and council members fight for, just like what you're saying. They really fight for the community and the citizens. So I think they're just as riled as you might be or I might be, but, you know, like I said, we have to conform, but they really work hard, you know, to try to make things as, you know, easy as possible.
Sorry, Chairman, if I may add to that, I mean, I absolutely am in agreement with the feelings, but I look at my kids, and they don't want to house with a white picket fence and to do the yard.
Right.
They're looking like for a condo, something that's simple, that they don't have to worry about anything else. If you call that progress, I don't know, but those are the market trends, you know, and our city, you know, our land is not getting any bigger, but if our population is growing, then, and they want to stay, we need more units.
Right.
Just a thought.
No, I see that with the younger kids. They want condos. They don't want to work on the yards. And
That
this
time
is
is
what we're
over.
having in the city. Look at the housing we're building right now. We're building 17. And look how they are, you see?
And they're buying, people are buying them.
And they're buying them. They bought all the ones over here and the other ones that he just built. So I agree on that, yeah, true.
Okay, being no further comments
No gas.
or questions, the meeting of the Planning Commission is hereby adjourned to Wednesday, May 6, 2026, at 6 p.m. in the council chambers at City Hall, 16400 Colorado Avenue, Paramount, California. Adjourned. Yes. Hold your coattail.
Paramount Development Review Board is called to order. Please roll call members.
Board Member Gonzalez? Board Member Moody?
Here.
Board Member Timmons?
Present.
Vice Chair Weisenberger? Chair Sparza?
Here. Okay, item number 1 is approval of minutes of March 4th. Can we have a motion?
Timmons, Timmons, so moved.
Weisenberger seconds.
Been approved in second.
Board Member Gonzalez?
Yes.
Board Member Moody?
Here.
Board Member Timmons?
Yes.
Vice Chair Weisenberger?
Yes.
Chair Sparza?
Yes. Any public comments?
There are no public comments submitted.
Reports?
Yes, so the idea was to give a follow-up report on the Clearwater specific plan, on kind of on the design side. But I think we, I think you got a flavor for what the design is. Maybe just to add, there are requirements, so it's not a, I've said this before for other projects, but not a box. We want, you know, something interesting, you know, an entryway that's clearly an entryway, maybe some articulation, really the Paramount way. So something that you would expect as far as quality, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. But if you have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer either now or I could get you more information at a later date.
Okay. Any questions?
May I add a comment, Chair?
Go ahead, yes.
And I go back to the comment that was made earlier by Mr. Weisenberger, that the owner, the tenant, or the owner of the property not in agreement with the Clearwater project. While I understand his plight, I would not want to be in that position. I think for the greater good here, the next 10, 20, 30 years, that's where this commission comes into place. Kind of put some guardrails so that we can continue to coexist with our businesses that are needed, but long-term, I think it's a great addition and a vision so that we don't end up like some of our neighboring cities where you have vacant lots, open vacant lots, buildings that are not pleasant to look at, do not make the city or the community look any better. So I'm glad that, you know, we have this plan in place and hopefully the tenant comes and finds something that, you know, works for them.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
I would just, I kind of wish we could maybe break some of it up, because I think overall this plan is a good plan, I really do. But there's just certain components that I'd like to see changed, but I know we can't piecemeal it like that. Of course, that's what, you know, that's what we hear in the nation's capital. You got a bill that's designed to do this, but if you read the fine print, it's also gonna provide money for this group and this over here and that over there. And I guess you gotta look at the greater good, because we can't just vote on the size of the lanes in the street. We just can't vote on that as a specific thing.
Right.
Because probably everybody here would say, no, I don't think it should be 8 foot or 9 foot, you know? But I'll take the 6-foot tree well, I like that. It's all lumped together, you know?
Right.
You take it all or you don't take any of it, I guess, I don't know.
I would imagine as time goes, I'm sorry.
No problem.
As time goes, I mean, as we said, this is not in concrete, so, I mean, who knows? As time goes, it might be a change, you know? As we bring this up, and I'm sure it's gonna be brought up to our council by other individuals, you know, in our city, so, you know, who knows? It might change.
Different, right, there you go, different people.
Yes,
really, Honestly,
yes.
a long way, yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I guess item 3 is comments from board members and staff, so. Nobody has comments, board members, staff?
No, sir.
Nope.
We're not
Okay,
allowing any more comments.
okay.
I'm only
So
kidding.
the Paramount Development Review Board is adjourned till Wednesday, May the 6th, here in the City Hall chambers.
Dinner. Give me dinner.
Okay, the Paramount Economic Development Board is in session. Roll call, please.
Board Member Sparza,
Here?
Board Member Timmons,
Yeah, here,
Or-
present, here.
Board Member Weisenberger, Vice Chair Gonzalez, Chair Moody.
Here. Approval of minutes of March 4th, 2026.
To approve?
In a second,
Roll call.
Board Member Sparza,
Yes.
Board Member Timmons,
yes.
Board Member Weisenberger,
Yes.
Vice Chair Gonzalez, Chair Moody.
Yeah. Public comments, John?
There are no public comments.
Good. Report, oral report.
Yes, Assistant Director Monica Rodriguez, she's going to give back up a little bit, she had attended a very informative workshop on the Americans with Disabilities Act compliance, and she'll give a nice little report on businesses.
Yeah, so thank you. So good evening, Honorable Chair and members of the board. So tonight's presentation, I'll be summarizing a workshop held by the Gateway Cities Council of Government regarding compliance with the Americans with Disability Act, or ADA for short. All right, so the law was signed in 1990, and it was intended to establish nationwide civil rights protection for individuals with disabilities. The law prohibited the discrimination of someone with disabilities in employment, places of public accommodation, transportation, and other key areas. The law is broken down into 4 sections of, from employment, state and local government activities and transportation, public accommodations, private and nonprofit, and telecommunications. So the most common title we use in the Planning and Building Department is Title III, which establishes minimum accessibility requirements for buildings and facilities. Okay. So accessibility requirements are triggered for the following reasons. When a developer, either they're constructing a new commercial or residential multifamily development, if they're altering a building, that they're adding an addition, or they're altering structurally the roof, then that's when the accessibility requirements will kick in. Also, too, another more recent update was that our websites would have to be accessibility and compliant, and also our informational flyers, they would have to comply with accessibility requirements. So ADA requirements state that a person with disabilities must have the ability to access all parking areas, entrances to any building, and public services areas. Restrooms, public counters, hallways, and seating areas must provide proper clearance and turning radius to be able to maneuver. A building or place must provide proper signage and wayfinding signs that will direct a person on how, where to access the building, facility, and or an area. So a local or state facility must conduct an ADA self-evaluation to identify the facility shortfalls and areas that are not compliant with ADA requirements. They must develop a transition plan to remove any barrier that can be easily fixed, or develop a timeline in terms of when those ADA requirements or for compliance would be met. So government entities should also appoint someone as an ADA coordinator and establish grievance procedures. So the Gateway Cities COG identified the top 5 most common ADA violations, which are in order of, I guess, the most common one, which would be missing curb ramps at intersections, whether we have broken or obstructed sidewalks, whether it be residential or commercial streets, inaccessible pedestrian signals at signalized intersections, inaccessible public buildings such as the city hall, the library, community centers, and the lack of ADA transition plans. So the consequences of not being compliant can include from, someone filing a complaint with the U.S. Department of Justice or a potential lawsuit from a business owner that is not providing the accessibility ramps, maneuvering areas for someone that's in a wheelchair, or seating areas that don't comply with accessibility requirements. So this can be, end up in a settlement agreement. It could be very costly for not only the city or a business. So we have to make sure that, not only we're educating our businesses, but also making sure that we're complying here for the city hall or all our city facilities. So this does conclude my presentation, so I'm available for questions. Happy to discuss anything.
Mr. One question. I know it's late, but so since we're minimizing parking, would that apply to minimizing the number of stalls for ADA parking?
No. So for accessible, or I guess ADA parking spaces, it's based on the number of parking spaces that are provided. So for instance, if you're providing 50, then you need at least a minimum of 1, and it increases as the number of parking spaces increase.
So, but I'm saying though, since we're minimizing parking in certain structures, it would minimize the number of parking stalls for ADA as well, right?
For ADA, no, it would not. Mm-mm.
I do have a question. So during the CUP process, the city is responsible for getting the business compliant, or is it the business who, outside of the city's CUP process, has to be compliant?
So a little bit of both. So when there is a new development, when it goes through the building process, then at that point, through the building process, they would make sure that it meets all the accessibility requirements. If it doesn't, then obviously they would have to revise their plan to comply. But there's, for instance, like existing buildings, sometimes they don't comply because they're just an older building and they don't have the capability of either, minimizing or their square footage just to accommodate. So they do sometimes file like an undue hardship. So there's ways around it, but you really have to prove that, is it undue hardship and you cannot comply. So then sometimes they kind of create a plan like, okay, can you, I guess, comply with certain requirements to increase the accessibility to the max extent possible.
Does the city have any amenability in that case?
Not the city, but the business owner can, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We have one, right?
Okay. Comments? Board members? Staff? Come on, Gordy, you got to get one more in.
I don't have any now.
Come on, Gordy.
Not encouraging.
I will say, I will make one. It's really nice to hear people come up and say, this is a good place to be, Paramount's a good city. I mean, have we ever heard anybody come up and say, I wish I didn't live in Paramount, I wish I didn't have a business in Paramount,
Oh, no.
I want to get out of Paramount?
Right,
Hey,
Nobody says that.
no,
Everybody
Go to
says,
our
man,
city
we're happy to be here.
on YouTube, I was watching the thing, cities bad, bad, bad. Paramount was number 16.
Okay.
Yeah, I go, no way.
Well, we don't hear it, we don't hear it here.
Somebody's just making this stuff up.
Oh, man.
But our
We've had-
city does work
I've had quite a few here.
Our city does work with our businesses, though. They're
They
very
have.
supportive.
They do come.
Yes, they're very supportive. you know, our
just gotta
our
zip it up.
city council members and our chamber.
Oh, yeah.
Very supportive of businesses in our city. So,
All right,
Yeah.
that's it. The Paramount Economic Development Board is adjourned till Wednesday, May 6th, 2026 at 6 PM in the City Council Chamber at City Hall. Thank you all.
And no more clear water, would you please?
no more clear water.